This lesson is on solving systems of equations using matrices. You've learned a lot of methods for solving systems of equations. Graphing, addition and subtraction method, which is sometimes called elimination. You've learned substitution. This is another method. It's often beneficial when you have lots of variables and not just two. But we're going to start out with an example where we have two variables because that's what we've worked with the most. When you start out using a matrix, what you want to do is get it into the same format you would with the elimination method. You want the x's lined up, the y's lined up, and then you want equals and your answers on the other side. Then you're going to write your coefficient matrix. That's a matrix involving all the coefficients of your variables. So for the top equation, that would be 2 and negative 1. And for the bottom equation, that would be 1 and positive 4. Then we write our variable matrix, x, y, and set it equal to 324. The reason this works and that x and y are on top of each other is because we know when you multiply matrices, you do a row times a column. So we would do 2 times x plus negative 1 times y, which would give us 2x minus y. Now we want to get the variables by themselves, and they're being multiplied by this coefficient matrix. So it might make sense to divide by the matrix, but we don't divide by matrices. What we can do is multiply by the inverse, and we know that that will do the same thing. What we're going to do is plug this matrix in the calculator under matrix A, and we're going to put the answer matrix in as matrix B. And then to solve for x and y, we're going to have the calculator find the inverse of matrix A and multiply that times matrix B. So let's go ahead and enter these matrices in the calculator. To enter a matrix, you use second and then hit the matrix key. You'll come up with these three options, and I want you to arrow over to edit, and we're just going to choose matrix A. Our matrix is a 2 by 2, which is what that says, so I'm going to go ahead and leave those numbers the way they are. But our numbers are different than these, and we're just going to type over them. Our numbers were 2, so I'm going to do 2, enter, and then negative 1, enter, and that's my top row, and then 1, enter, and 4, enter to give me my bottom row. Now that my coefficient matrix is in, I'm going to go ahead and do second quit, second matrix, arrow back over to edit, and this time I'm going to go down to B and enter my answer matrix into matrix B. It's a 2 by 1 because it has 2 rows and 1 column, and the answer matrix was 324. So I'm going to do 3, enter, 24, enter. And I'm going to quit out of that again by using second quit. And then in order to multiply, I'm going to do second matrix. And now that I want to actually use it, I'm going to choose from the names column, not the edit column. So I'm going to choose matrix A. I want the inverse of it, so I'm going to hit this key right here, the inverse key. And then I want to multiply that times matrix B. So we're going to do second matrix. This time we're going to arrow down and choose B. So it should look just like that, the inverse of A times B, and hit enter. And this tells us x is 4 and y is 5. Because x was on top and y was on bottom, our answer was 4, 5. We can leave it just like that, or as we usually do, we can write it as an ordered pair. We can use this method also to solve systems using 3 variables. Here you see we have it lined up, well, kind of. We have our x's, and then our y's, and then our z's. You'll notice this equation doesn't have an x, which means the coefficient of x must have been 0. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in with a 0x plus y. And then I can write my coefficient matrix. 2, 1, negative 2, 0, 1, 3, 1, 2, negative 1. Our variable matrix is now an x, a y, and a z, equals, and then we have our answers, negative 3, 15, and 3. Once we have this written out, we're going to enter both of our matrices into the calculator. So we're going to do that second matrix, Arrow over to edit, we'll choose matrix A again. This time our coefficient matrix is a 3 by 3. So I'm going to type 3, enter, 3, enter. You'll notice it goes ahead and jumps over. And let's check back on what our equations were. 2, 1, negative 2. So I'm going to type 2, enter, negative 1, enter, 2, enter. Oops, that was a positive 1 and a negative 2. Let's go back and fix that. So to fix it, we can just use our arrow keys. That was a positive 1, enter, and a negative 2, enter. And you can just move your way around the matrix just like that using the arrow keys. Then we have 0, 1, 3, 0, enter, 1, enter, 3, enter. It's important to hit enter after each one because it sets the number in there. And then we have 1, 2, negative 1. Be sure your last answer gets set in there. Now we want to do the answer matrix. So we're going to second quit, second matrix, arrow over to edit, and down to matrix B. Now our answer matrix has 3 rows, so it's a 3 by 1. And the answers were negative 3, 15, and 3. Negative 3, 15, 3. Second quit. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. This is matrix A and this is matrix B. So we're going to do the inverse of A times B. We know that multiplying matrices, it's important the order that you multiply in. So the inverse of A must go first. So back to the calculator, second matrix. We're going to choose from this column since we want to multiply. So the inverse of A, that inverse key, times second matrix. Choose B and enter. X is 1, Y is 3, and Z is 4. So 1, 3, 4 is our ordered triple. That's the answer for our system. That's it.